Good morning, everyone. Rob Vance, City of Monte Vista.
Morning, Rob.
Good morning.
All right, it's 9:30. I think I'll wait for another minute or so. Looks like people are still logging on, so we'll give it another minute and then we'll get started.
Morning, Vern.
Morning, Gene.
How are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
We're going to hold on just another 30 seconds or so. People are still jumping on, and then we'll get started. Morning, Tim.
Hey, very morning.
Morning, Annie. Morning, Barry.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our TPR meeting. It's November 13th at 9:30, 9:31, I guess now. We'll start with introductions, and I'm going to try to call you out and not miss anybody or miss everybody. I don't know, but I'm going to start with you, Annie, because you're on the top left of my screen. So would you please introduce yourself?
I sure can. Good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Altwark. I'm with CDOT Region 5 as the Multimodal and Transit Liaison.
Thank you, Annie. Gene? Got to find that right button. Gene Glover?
Shut that thing off. Yeah,
There you go. There you go.
brain did. I like talking to myself. I just found out I don't argue as much that way, but it's not a Rio Grande County Commissioner.
Thanks, Gene. Barry?
Did you say Barry?
I did. Barry Van Sant.
Okay. I thought you said Gary, but I've been called worse. Yeah, Barry Van Sant, SLV Transit Council representative, SLVTPR rep, and Mountain Valley Transit Board of Directors and Succeed Board of Directors.
Thanks, Barry. Sarah Stober?
Sarah Stover, San Luis Valley Development Resources Group and Council of Governments.
Thank you, Sarah. Tim Funk?
Hey, morning, everybody. Tim Funk, CDOT Regional Planner.
Good morning. Eric Kaiser?
Eric Kaiser, Mountain Valley Transit.
Good morning. Spencer?
Good morning, Spencer York, Planning Liaison for CDOT Division of Transportation Development.
Thank you, Spencer. Miles Cottom, sorry.
Hey, there we go. Miles Cottom, the Planning and Natural Resources Director for Chaffee County.
Good morning. Mr. Vance, Monte Vista.
Robert Vance, City of Monte Vista, Public Works. Thanks. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rob. Tony Katie?
Hey, good morning, Tony Katie, CDOT Region 5 Planning and Environmental Manager.
Good morning. Katie Sickles?
Katie Sickles, Interim Manager of the City of Creed.
Good morning. Kevin Curry?
Good morning, Kevin Curry, CDOT Region 5 Program Engineer.
Good morning. Andrew Rice?
Andrew Rice, Town of Buena Vista.
Morning. Bridget McDougall.
Good morning, everyone. Region 5 Local Agency Engineer for CDOT.
Good morning. Kate Garwood.
Okay. Good morning, Kate Garwood with Mountain Valley Transit.
Good morning, Kate. Okay, they're jumping around now. Let's see. Chris Rodriguez.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Chris Rodriguez, Castillo County.
Good morning. I just saw Gina something, but now she's not on my screen.
I'm here. Sorry, Jean Lucrezi, Chaffee County Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning. Although I won't be here for the whole meeting, unfortunately. I do have to hop off around 10:45, but I think we have a few other people that can represent Chaffee County. So
Yeah. All right. Hugh Halleck, will you introduce yourself too?
Sure, Hugh Halleck, Administrator for the San Luis Valley Regional Transportation Planning Commission.
Okay. Oh no, we got Lance Hostetter now. Lance, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Lance Hostetter, Town of Poncha, Town Administrator.
Morning, Lance.
Morning.
Did I get everybody? I guess so. Okay. Let's get started then. We have an agenda in our packet. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that agenda.
I move we approve the agenda. Barry Van Sant.
Thank you, Barry.
second, Gina from Chaffee.
Thank you, Gina. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, same sign. Okay. You also had the minutes from August 21st for our last TPR meeting for approval. Do we have any issues with those this morning? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Does Gene make a motion we approve the minutes?
Thank you. Second.
Rob Vance will second.
Thank you, Rob. All in favor of approving the minutes from August 21st, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Thank you. This is a time for public comment. If there's anybody on the Zoom meeting that would like to comment for the San Luis Valley TPR, now is your opportunity. Okay, no public comment. First off then is our Transit Council report. Barry and Kate, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Go ahead, Barry.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a busy quarter. We're making some progress, I think. And Kate has a lot to report. One thing I wanted to kind of make a point of as the TPR transit representative is to kind of reiterate the 5 priorities that transit priorities we came out of the planning process over the last year. So I just wanted to run through those so they remain familiar and people will when we talk about them in the future, people will remember them, I hope. There are 5 priorities that came out of the final plan, which I think we're voting on later today. But the number 1 priority we had was a new transit center in Poncha Springs. It comes under a few different names, the Poncha Welcome Center, et cetera, and a few different versions of what that might be. But in general, we're looking at the generous donation of the property from Poncha Springs, where the Welcome Center is, and hopefully moving the Mountain Valley Transit headquarters, that location, building a new facility, potentially a bus barn, a kind of a first-class transit center. I would think of it as kind of a Union Station of the West, if you want to think big. Um, but we got some traction on that and a lot of involvement with the stakeholders in Salida and Poncha and CDOT. So that's what we have as number one. Number two, it's listed as the SLV Regional Transit Plan. And really, that's kind of an aggregate of several projects from the past 5 years. One is the one-click transit services location, the regional mobility director, acquiring a full-time regional mobility director for the entire 7-county region, and the reestablishment and really the implementation of a robust and vital SLV Transit Council. We've got some news coming up on that, but overall, it's a second. The number two priority is to get a our regional act together with all the different players, the ride service providers, those who need rides, and those who support transit in general in the future in the valley or in both valleys, the Arkansas and San Luis valleys. The third priority is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's been on there for years, and I don't know. It may be there for years more, but it's interregional travel from Southwest Colorado to the Front Range via Pagosa Springs and Wolf Creek and the Gun Barrel. So we've been ideally seeing that as an additional Bustang Outrider route that would serve a travel corridor that is one of the most popular and important travel corridors in the state. And so we want to continue to promote getting that interregional bus service coming over Wolf Creek and up the Gun Barrel. I would note that I believe Outrider began in 2018 in the valley, maybe 2017. And so that's 7 years, and there's been no additional interregional transit routes in those last 7 years. So nothing's been added. That I would say that additional routes have been added elsewhere around the state. I'm not really privy to all the details on that, but I do feel it's time we got another interregional route to move people into and out of this valley. The fourth item was the Buena Vista Salida commuter service. It's basically establish there's a lot of commuter traffic that we've observed over the years between Buena Vista and Buena Vista and Salida. So that's a priority, something I think is a low-hanging fruit that would probably get accomplished sooner than later. And the fifth was a Monte Vista park and ride and bus shelter to in the current location where the current bus stop is across from the Chamber of Commerce, but to have a more robust, secure, and climate-friendly location there for transit riders. That's that with the five transit priorities in the CDOT plan going forward, 2050. The other thing I wanted to mention is over the last quarter, there's been a lot of regional mobility outreach. There's been work on this a one-stop shop transit directory under development, and Kate will be giving a lot more information on that, I think, after me. And there's a real traction in reconvening the Regional Transit Council, and we've been in touch with a lot of the stakeholders and players, and we have a summit coming up on December 1st, which we'll talk, I think, we'll talk about some more. And the last item is we just completed, Succeed with FORCOR, just completed a transportation needs assessment for the Northern Valley, primarily Saguache County and surrounding areas. And in that needs assessment includes all entire transportation spectrum, roads, bridges, but mostly moving people and what the needs are for the residents in this region to get moved from place to place. So that's my regional level update on transit. And I would turn it over to Kate from here, unless there's questions.
There's no questions for Barry, then go ahead, Kate.
Hey, thanks, folks. Yes, we have had some really interesting things going on here, but the single most important thing, Eric, get your button ready to show people who you look like, what you look like. We finally have a new executive director for Mountain Valley Transit, and it's somebody you've seen, but Eric Kaiser is going to be our new he is our new executive director, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be stepping back. It's been over a year, but I think we found somebody who cares about this valley, who understands the management of fleet and drivers, and that seems to come so naturally to him. I don't even see him spending much time on it. The drivers love him, and the vehicles are in much better shape than they've been. I'm very happy to have Eric on our team. Anyway, Eric, you want to say hello?
Hello, I appreciate that, Kate, and I look forward to working with you folks on this call.
Okay, and what we'll be doing on December 1st that Barry mentioned is we will be holding what's being called, and Barry, I'm going to use your words, a regional transit summit with a small s. It's what we've done. We've gone to people in the neighborhoods before, in the smaller towns. We've gone to some of the elected officials, but this time we started talking to the human services and health community health folks, and we are going to meet with them about what needs they see on December 1st at the Monte Vista Sky High Center at 11 o'clock. You're invited to come. I think we've got invitations out to most of you. If we miss anybody, I'm happy to resend them. But what we wanted to do was, I should back up a moment. We sent out a survey to find out what the concerns were of folks and how they get rides for people. Are they getting rides for medical reasons? Are they getting to the grocery store? What are the human health and services folks hearing from their clients, and what are they struggling to get done? And we got a tremendous report from our facilitator, Kim Smoyer, about how those survey results came about. I'm going to guess that everything you think is going on, but just didn't have proof. Now we've got proof that there are concerns in different categories. So on the 1st, we want to sit down with the people who told us what the problems are and prioritize them, and then get at them. Just start working those problems. For example, communication between like Little Stinkers and Valleywide, between us at Mountain Valley Transit and the folks at the Human Services Centers. We need to do a better job of that between us and bus day. So that entire group is going to be there. Commissioner Hersink, I see you signed up, and I'm glad you're going to be there. But if you care about transit at all, we'd really like to have you join us. Anyway, still room. We've got plenty of room at the table for that. We will bring that report back to the TPR because I think it'll be important for you in terms of priorities you want to set for transit for the future, or for communications, or things like Barry mentioned, the one click, one stop situation. We're also going to be preparing a directory that he talked about, and that is, I think most of us are old enough to remember the overhead projectors, and they'd put a layer on top of this and a layer on top of that, and then the red and blue areas turn purple, and that's the intersection of where those things are. Well, we're looking at doing something similar to that for where do we cross over with Little Stinkers? Where do we cross over with Red Willow? What can we connect and make sense for the customers, not us, for the customers that need to get places, and how can we help them find rides? That directory will be a product of what we've what we're getting together for on the December 1st event. So if you haven't got an event, an invitation, please send me an email, chair@mountainvalleytransit.com. And if you would haven't signed up yet, please do. I think this is going to be a pretty worthwhile deal for everybody to learn what we need in the Valley and to help us move forward and address the priorities of our constituents.
And that
Any
date,
questions?
that date was December 1st and the time was 11 o'clock, Kate?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. We will pick you up if you'd like. We have vehicles all over the place, and we're fully intending to drive in. If you sign up for that, we've got a small little Christmassy gift for you. But anyway, that we've already got some folks signed up to ride the buses and actually see what it's like to be on a vehicle, so they can talk to their constituents about it. Yeah, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Thank you. 11 o'clock at the Monte Vista Sky High Center. And just, fill out your reservation or give me a call or send me an email. We'll make sure you get in.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Barry. Any other questions for our transit folks? All right. Next up is the CDOT project and maintenance updates. Who's taking that?
I can take the engineering updates. This is Kevin Curry.
Go for it, Kevin.
Let me pull it up.
I can try to share it real quick, Kevin.
Okay.
Let's see.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Is there any way you can make it a little bigger?
Sure.
Think so. Yep. Is that better?
That's better.
All right. So we recently completed some of our paving projects for the year. That included State Highway 112 from Del Norte to the US 285 intersection. That was completed by Old Castle Southwest. Definitely a big time improvement on that roadway, taking out all the bumpy bumps on that stretch. So that work was completed just last month. Next. Current work we still have going on, US 160 out at Fort Garland. We have safety mitigation project where we're doing 3 large animal underpasses plus some intersection improvements at the Trinchera intersection. That work, most of the structures are in. I think they were doing some paving last week, but I think it's about to go into a winter shutdown mode with only seeding and some minor items left for the spring. 160 on Wolf Creek Pass. That's another surface treatment job that was definitely needed. That work just got completed. I think they just did the walkthrough last week, so it definitely rides a lot better. Next. Our timber beam bridge repair project, which was 3 structures located, as you see on the screen, on US 50, State Highway 15, and US 550 outside of Uray. Those were to do some bridge repairs on the beams on 3 timber bridges, and I believe that work is done. Our region culvert cure in place repairs, that project, there was a number of pipes that we did this cured in place lining technology. We just completed the last one, I believe, out on 491 outside of Cortez. So that work is wrapping up. Upcoming work is 285 on Conejos River Bridges near Antonito. That project was awarded to WW Clyde. They just had their pre-construction meeting, and that should be getting started here soon. State Highway 17 is a rural road surface treatment job outside of in Conejos County. That project is currently being advertised as we sit here, and I think we're opening bids next week. US 24 Granite North, the Region 3 boundary, is another surface treatment job outside of Buena Vista. That was awarded to, I think, United, and that will be starting in the spring. 291 on US 50 roundabout. This is a traffic and safety project. I'm not sure on the status on this one. It says add date is tentatively scheduled for August of 26, so I guess it's still in design.
Yeah, that's right. And then hopefully construction 27.
Yeah, okay. US 160 Wolf Creek Tunnel. This is the second phase of the Wolf Creek Tunnel maintenance work that we're doing to do diamond grinding, some joint sealing, some patching, and replacement of the nano coat, which is the reflective coating on the side walls that help to illuminate the tunnel. That is ready to go to add. We're going to be advertising that in December, and will be planned for construction in spring after the snow flies. State Highway 15, 136, and 371. That's another rural road surface treatment job. That add date is scheduled for this fall for 15, 136, 371, and 15. So that is still scheduled to be advertised. 114 bridges. This is 2 bridge enterprise structures up on State Highway 114. That is currently in advertised, or I'm sorry, that's currently in design, and we're scheduled to advertise that in February of 27.
Okay.
I think that's it.
That's it on the construction projects. Any questions on that before we roll into the maintenance work? Okay. If none, I can go through the maintenance stuff that's planned. So I want to give everybody a heads up that this list is subject to change because of 2 things. One is we actually just got some funding for a big resurfacing project on Highway 114. I'll go into when I get to the 10-year plan update, even though it's not technically a 10-year plan project. And then also, 159 is on our 10-year plan. It's not finalized yet. So our maintenance guys they have their current plan based on the funding that's in place right now. We do quarterly meetings with maintenance to find potential conflicts of work that Kevin's team would do with their work. A lot of times the maintenance teams will still go ahead with a small project just to kind of hold the highway together until Kevin's engineering project can come through. But this is what's currently planned. Like I said, some of this could be subject to change, but 114, northwest of Saguache is one that we've been talking about for a while. There's currently several small maintenance segments planned on 40, like milepost 41 through 42, 45 through 46 and a quarter, and then 52 to 52.8. All of those projects have to be separate projects, which is why we're not doing them contiguously. And they all have to cost less than $350,000. Otherwise, we're required to put it out to add. Highway 142 in Conejos County. We're looking at a little over a mile there to try to resurface in this fiscal year. And then 159, this would be south of San Luis, north of the New Mexico state line. We know that highway's in really bad shape. So our maintenance guys tentatively planning on a couple projects there. As we mentioned with the last 10-year plan update, we do have a proposed 10-year plan project through this area. So the timing could change, although I think it's likely maintenance will continue to do these 2 little projects to kind of hold us over until the big engineering project can come through. And then the same would be true for Highway 370. Mile marker 10.5 to 11 and 11 to 12. This is also work that's in the 10-year plan to get resurfaced. And it's just kind of a matter of timing. Can these segments wait until the big engineering project or not? And then although not in any of these counties, Region 5 does include US 50 kind of in the Sargent's area. So about a mile in that region, in that part of the state. And then also on 285, right at mile marker 105, we know we got to do some work in Saguache County. Also in 285 in Chaffee, So this would be mile marker 120 to 122. So this is just north of Poncha Pass. And then also kind of just north of the 291 turn to Salida, the northern turn to Salida in Chaffee County. To resurface a mile there. And then lastly, I think this is the last one on the list, 160 from mile marker 226 to 227. This is just, I think, just west of Alamosa in Alamosa County. So like I said, this list is kind of tentative because our maintenance guys are looking at when the funding is approved for the 10-year plan, they'll relook at those segments and see if we still have to, if they've still got to do them on this timeline or if it can wait until we get to them with the bigger engineering project. But any questions on these maintenance projects? And then I'll do a quick 10-year plan update.
Tim, I was going to ask you kind of about the coordination between the maintenance projects and then the engineering projects. So I appreciate you answering that. I would hate to see us fix a road and then have it redone in the following year when it, is in decent shape. So appreciate that.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and just to expand on that, yeah, we do a quarterly kind of planning meeting where we look at the mile markers of everything maintenance is planning on doing and everything engineers planning on doing and just seeing if it's a real conflict or not. So all of these segments will get talked about and then we'll decide, we just can't wait. We got to do it. Or, hey, this can wait. Let's save the money and use it elsewhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if in our next meeting, this list of planned maintenance stuff, because really we're not going to be doing any new resurfacing projects between now and probably the spring, because temperatures have to be warm enough for asphalt to set up right. But in our, let's see, the next meeting would be what, January, February?
February 26th,
so
I think.
My guess is this list will look considerably different in February after we have that conflict resolution meeting. But I just want to let everybody know what we're looking at. So I did want to give a quick 10-year plan update to the group. Last time we were here, we presented our proposed 10-year plan. We've gotten, especially with transit projects. Oh shoot, I've got the wrong one up. Here we go. Sorry about that. We presented, we got some kind of conflicting guidance on transit projects from headquarters. We were told at the time that we couldn't spend any money on operations with the 10-year plan and that all capital projects would require a 20% match and that really we should be sending all priority projects, basically those 5 projects that Barry went over earlier, to DTR for them to find sources of funding kind of outside of the 10-year plan. There's since been, frankly, some conflicting guidance that came back that we're currently working with, and we don't think it's going to change. In that operations of previously identified 10-year plan projects can carry forward. We still think that the capital projects, such as the Poncha Crossroads, could require a match, but we're hopeful that there's going to be a program in place to provide some match relief similar to the MMOF program, where depending on the service of the area of the project, it might be eligible for a waiver from match requirements. But regardless, we wanted to get some money into some of those, into that specific transit project. So the big news is we have added a new project to the plan since the last time we presented. And this was the Poncha Springs Crossroads Welcome Center. Annie worked with Barry and Kate at the beginning of the long range plan project to try to get a total project cost. So we think that's roughly $2 million. We have $560,000 in transit funds that were set aside in the last 10-year plan for the 10-year for the San Luis Valley. we've reallocated those funds to this project, understanding that this is the #1 priority of the TPR, and we want to, make sure we're doing the projects that are the highest priorities. We've also added $1,440,000 of future funding. These funds won't be available until 2031 for now, because we are pretty restricted on the funds that were available from 27 to 30. But we're hopeful that these reallocated 19 to 26 funds can get engineering and design going on this. And then we'll have at least this much set aside for construction. Hopefully can get some more money into it if needed. But Barry kind of already went over the scope, but it's, expansion and renovation of that existing parking area, and then try to make it actually a transit facility adjacent to the existing Welcome Center. So as soon as the next 10-year plan is approved, those reallocated funds should be available to the project. And then timing for the next 10-year plan to be approved, it's our understanding that we're now looking at a spring approval. So it probably won't be completely approved by the time we meet again, but hopefully shortly after that, the Transportation Commission will vote on the whole plan. We are presenting, or Julie is presenting, along with Darius from the Department of Transportation and Development, are presenting the entirety of the Region 5 plan to the Commission this month. So we think everything should be worked out with Region 5 projects and funding after that November meeting. We don't anticipate any changes from what I'm presenting you guys today, but these funds actually will not be available officially until the overall 10-year plan is approved in the spring. So
thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kate. So where is the money coming from that's in this project? We had a project in the 19 through 26 10-year plan for Northeast San Luis Valley Transit Service. That was the $560,000. That project did not make it in the top 5 of the, although it's still, we still view it as a priority. I'm sure, Kate, you guys still view it as a priority, but not as much as those top 5. So we wanted to move that to the Welcome Center. The other $1 million has come from the intersection at 160 and Pike. We had 10 million in there for that project. We reduced it to 9 million. We still think that is enough money to do the intersection improvements. It's probably, we were going to be potentially short of the entire corridor improvements that we're looking at regardless. So we know we have to bring more funding to this project, and we're looking to try to get some safety funds added to that project in addition to the 10-year plan. So we're hopeful that this project will stay just as funded as it is, if not more so. But we didn't think we would negatively affect that intersection, but the funds did have to come from somewhere. So that's just to give the TPR full transparency on how that Welcome Center is getting funded. It's basically from these 2 projects.
So these funds aren't transit specific then?
They are not. The 560 are transit specific. Those had to roll into another transit project, the 19 through 26. As part of the state bill that funded the last 10-year plan, part of that was a requirement for a certain percentage to go to transit projects. So that all of those transit dollars had to stay in transit. That other 1.4 million was basically flexible from the region to spend strategically, and not necessarily dedicated to transit.
Okay, I guess I'm a little hesitant to see $1 million come out of a safety project and then moved to a Welcome Center. I mean, no offense to the Poncha Springs project, but as long as it doesn't hinder the timeliness at which the Pike Avenue project gets done.
Yeah, we certainly share your concern, Vern, and like we said, the 10-year plan project is technically the intersection at Pike. which we think this 9 million can still cover. The rest of the corridor, we know we're going to have to bring more money to from other places. So it is kind of a moving money that can go to anything to the Welcome Center, since we didn't think we could get funding otherwise, and from a project where we hopefully will try to get other funding in the future between now and 2031. So it's certainly on our radar. We're going to try to get more funding into this project, but I do understand and share your concern. So what we have in the overall list now is then our complete Region 5 list, just for the TPR's knowledge. All of the projects in the valley are highlighted in yellow. So just a quick reminder of what those are. One of them is the Fort Garland project that's still under construction. And since it's not done yet, we're keeping it in the plan. The next one is the roundabout there in southeast Salida. That $7 million is still going to that. The Poncha Crossroads Welcome Center that we just talked about, transit facility, the 560 transit dollars plus the 1.4 that we just talked about. Outrider stop improvements. So these are projects from the last 10-year plan where DTR is proposing outrider improvements on some of these routes. The Salida transit capital improvements. This is part of a larger project that the town of Salida is delivering themselves, but the $480,000 is set aside for improvements to their existing transit stops and sidewalks to those stops. This other outrider improvement on the Alamosa to Pueblo route. The Buena Vista Park and Ride facility, that is staying in the plan. This kind of has the same challenges with the 20% match possibly being required, maybe not being required, but we do think there's a good path to getting that project off the ground. Multimodal improvements in the town of Saguache, that's the bike and ped work that we're doing in the town of Saguache. These three projects we've combined into one. As Kevin described, total they have 10.4 million. And then lastly, the safety, the shoulders between Center and Saguache. That project has funding spread throughout the three funding cycles. We're currently working on design, and we're probably going to try to go for a federal grant to actually build the entirety of this project. But if not, we'll at least deliver a smaller segment of this project with the funding that we have here to get some shoulders and potentially some passing lanes north of Center. And then projects kind of in what we call the out years. This would be the intersection at Steele and Buena Vista. The resurfacing of 370, like we had previously talked about, and the safety improvements at that ditch crossing. The corridor improvements in Poncha Springs. The project we just, actually, no, this is a different project. The multimodal improvements in Alamosa. This is East Alamosa. The intersection of US 160 and Pike. And then we're also looking at that whole corridor. And then Highway 159 from San Luis south, or from the crossing of Culebra Creek south to the New Mexico state line. So those are the two resurfacing projects in the out years. So we might still do some of those smaller maintenance resurfacing before then. But as a reminder that this is the fiscal constraint that we were given from headquarters, which was roughly 70 million in the first 4 years. Basically that went to the existing projects, and then 103 million in the out years. That kind of went to the new projects and projects where we know we need to get some additional funds. So also wanted to let everybody know, I know there was some concern that we did not have Highway 114 on this list. Highway 114 was a 10-year plan project on the previous list. With the funding available, we were only able to get from basically Highway 50 on the north end up to the top of Cochetope Pass. It did not make the next 10-year plan as far as the rural road resurfacing that we were looking at, because we were hoping to be able to bring other asset dollars to it. And we just got word that with this most recent round of federal redistribution funds. So these are federal funds that are swept back. These are basically unused federal funds. At the end of each fiscal year, the feds will sweep back some of the unused funds and redistribute those to the states for projects where we think it can be spent relatively quickly. We got direction from headquarters that our management team wanted this to go to surface treatment. So we identified really the highest priority left for surface treatment in all of Region 5. That was Highway 114. So we got 10.7 million of those dollars. It was roughly, I think, 80 million total that came back to the state. And this was actually good because this was going to resurfacing as opposed to other things. We actually got a higher percentage than we normally do. For strategic funds, we typically get 8%, but on the resurfacing things, because they're looking at total highway mileage and things like that, we get a slightly higher ratio. So we're looking at least 10 miles on Highway 114 for now. And we're going to work from the top of Coach Tote Pass to the east. And then maybe over time, be able to bring some other dollars to get it all the way to Saguache. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know this is a new project that we've got outside of the 10-year plan, and that kind of a reminder that the 10-year plan is not everything, that we're not the only source of funds and not the only thing that we're looking at, but having the projects on the plan, having them on the long range plan, you know, lets us know your guys' priorities. So when we do get opportunities like this, we can send the funds in those directions. So any questions on this new project or the 10-year plan updates as a whole?
I'll just say thanks for bringing that up, Tim. They mentioned that at our last stack meeting that 10 million plus was coming to 114, and I think that's a really wise choice of where to spend that money.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Vern. And yeah, and appreciate hearing from you guys that it was a priority. The only other update I've got is I just wanted to do kind of a quick grants update. There's really not much happening right now, but just wanted to just get everybody thinking about what could be coming up in the future. As a reminder, Revitalizing Main Streets program, unfortunately, is unfunded at least through the rest of this fiscal year. We'll have to see with the fiscal year 27 budget if it can get refunded or not. We're not optimistic given that the state budget is still looking kind of short. The MMOF, the Multimodal Transportation Mitigation Options Funds, you know, we just awarded those at the TPR through fiscal year 29. So there really won't be another call for projects for the next 3 years for FY30 plus funds. But the same types of projects can get funded through the Transportation Alternatives Program. Right now, we're hoping to do a call for those projects in fall of 26. The current federal transportation bill expires at the end of the next fiscal year. So it expires at the end of September of 2026. Hopefully well before then, the next transportation bill will be passed and we'll know if TAP survives into that next bill. We haven't heard that it won't. We're proceeding as if it will. But we want to make sure that at least regionally, we're recommending that we kind of wait and see where that next bill lands before we do another call for projects. We don't want to get in a situation like we just were with MMOF, where we had to award and then pull back awards or push awards back. So that's the status of TAP. However, you know, a year from now is pretty quick. So I encourage everybody to think about the needs in the communities that you've got for bike ped transit projects. Because this will be here before we know it. And then the last one, the Safe Routes to School program, you know, that opens every August, and that will open again in August of 26. That one's run through headquarters. So you would work with their staff probably directly on that. But yeah, just a reminder to folks that August 26 is when those applications will be due if you have something you're considering. Any questions on the future of these grants?
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not on the future of the grant. But and I think maybe I should know the answer to this, but I don't. With the Swatch Streetscaping project, the MMOF was awarded, and
Yeah.
I guess with all the other MOF awards, what is the um, status of in particular the Swatch, since I'm a Swatch person, but with the moving ahead with that effort now that those funds have been awarded. Can you give us that real quick? Or?
Yeah, I think we are currently, so those funds are going to go into, and I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not when I'm sharing my screen, but those funds are going to go into this
Okay. Yeah.
multimodal project, which we've also added some strategic funds. But getting that 150,000 of MMOF now is going to allow the survey to get started quick. So I don't know if it's been official, if it's complete, if all the IGAs and whatnot have been signed, but I know that process has started where CDOT and the town of Saguache are working on the documentation for that award to basically be transferred to CDOT. And we're going to use that money. The first thing we really need to do before we can engineer it is get survey on what's out there and what's not out there. So that's going to be the first step. And that $150,000 award is going to mostly go to that. And then anything that's left will go to, we'll roll into the design phase of that project and let it get started kind of earlier than it would have, because otherwise we would be waiting on the approval of the 10-year plan in the spring before we could even start any expenditures on that project.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Tim? All right, thank you, Tim, for those updates.
Yeah.
Spencer, you're up with the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan.
Sure, thank you, Vern. All right, so go ahead and share my screen really quick. All right, can you all see that?
Yes, sir. If you can blow it up a little bit, that would be helpful.
Sure thing. All right, so there's been a lot of work that's gone into the development of the San Luis Valley 2050 Regional Transportation Plan. A lot of feedback from this TPR. We had 4 or 5 meetings where we went over what the real goals were, what the real needs were, and I think we did a pretty good job incorporating those into this document. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. This San Luis Valley has been really good about being really involved in this process and making sure this plan represents what you guys all want. So we had a few comments during the public comment period from people in San Luis Valley. Most of those were folks that are TPR members. All of those comments were included and incorporated into this final draft that we have here. And so today I'm bringing this in front of the TPR to ask for a motion to approve this plan, as well as the San Luis Valley Regional Transit Plan. I'm happy to walk through any components of either of these plans, and we can adopt these separately or all at once. But I'd like to open it up to any comments or questions, and I can walk through anything that the TPR wants to see today.
Anything specific that anybody would like to comment about as far as the transportation plan goes?
Is this draft available online, Spencer?
Yes, this is available on the CDOT website. If you go to yourtransportationplan.com, this is what's currently on there. It's also included in the meeting packet that Hugh sent out. And there is an option that if anyone does have revisions that they need to see to vote to approve this, we can include revisions in the adoption, and I'll make sure those get added when it's uploaded as a final draft.
You would need those revisions at this time, though, wouldn't you, Spencer? Or
Yes, I would, but I would like to clarify, this is a living document. If people find things that they want to revisit at later TPR meetings, we can come back and revisit this, and we can bring it to, a motion to revise the plan, and I can get that done and get that uploaded at future periods. So we don't need to feel like we have to wait for the next planning period in 4 or 5 years to make changes to this.
okay. I would say we've gone through most of the work as far as prioritization and whatnot. If there's any specifics or typos or little things like that, we can address those in the future if we find those as we look through this over the next couple years.
I just want to throw out a comment. Thanks for updating the airport imagery to show our actual regional airport. I appreciate that.
Of course. Not sure how the wrong one got in there, but I'm glad you caught that.
And if we find anything like that, again, as we move through this, you can change that as we move forward, right, Spencer?
Definitely. This is your guys' plan. CDOT, pulls it together, but at the end of the day, this is your guys' plan. So it is up to you when you guys want to make revisions to this.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, if there's not any revisions that we want to make at this time or any other concerns, I would entertain a motion to approve. We'll just go ahead and approve these one at a time. The 2050 Regional Transportation Plan.
Yeah, Vernus, Gene, I make a motion we approve the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan.
Thank you, Gene. Can I get a second?
I can second.
That was Miles.
Yes.
Thank you, Miles. All right, all those in favor of approving this plan signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposition to the approval? Same sign. Okay, there's that one. Thank you for that. As far as the transit plan, do you have another?
There we go.
There you go.
Can you guys see that transit plan now?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So this one, this was not, brought to the TPR as many times, but we definitely worked closely with many of the transit reps here to kind of work on this and go through the revision process. This plan was developed by CDOT's Division of Transit and Rail, and it goes through, for those of you that haven't seen it, goes through all of the different transit needs in the region, provides a very broad overview of what human service and transit provider are in the San Luis Valley, with some, general information about Bustang and the different providers and some of the ridership in the region. And, this is intended to be, a very, general picture of what the needs are in the region. And we incorporated some of the revisions, or I should say all the revisions and comments that we received. There weren't nearly as many as with the regional transportation plan, but there were still quite a few. So I would like to open it up to any comments and questions. And if there are none, I would recommend a motion to approve.
Well, you heard from Spencer. If there's no concerns, we'll entertain a motion to approve the transit plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the transit plan.
Thank you, Gina.
Second.
I would second that motion. Rob Vance.
Thanks, Rob. All right, all those in favor of approval of the 2050 Regional Transit Plan signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposition to the plan? If there is, signify by saying aye. Okay, that's good. That's what we want. Okay, Spencer, thank you for that. Those are approved.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
That brings us to other business. Do we have any other business this morning for the good of the San Luis Valley TPR? Hugh, I had a question just as far as like, I don't remember what our terms are for chair and vice chair or when we address those positions. When do we need to take care of that? And do we need to do anything this year?
So we, I think they are, at one point we had we thought there were 2-year terms, but I think now they're 1-year terms. So we will do that at the February meeting.
Okay.
And I might point out too that the meeting dates for the next year are at the bottom of the agenda, so please mark your calendars. And I think that we are scheduled to go to a 10 a.m. start time for meetings next year. So because we're done with the planning process, no more 9:30. So folks coming in for the meeting will have a little extra time to get here.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Again, if there's nothing else this morning for the good of the group, we will adjourn. And I'm not hearing anything, so we will adjourn for the day. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your participation, and we'll see you in February.
Thanks, Vern.
Thank
See
you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Vern.
Thanks, everyone.